Hello, my name is Yoko. How are you? So, I am an ambient electronic musician. I was born and raised in Japan, originally trained with piano, but now I compose, produce, and engineer this kind of music. People say my sound is soothing, so I got to create music for museums, art galleries, airlines, spa. Several years ago, I got sick, and I had to spend hours and hours in hospitals. As a musician sensitive to sound, I was disturbed by the noise. Lying in a hospital bed, I used to wonder, some people say hearing is the last sense to go when we die. So what is the last sound I get to hear at the end of my life? Is it like this? Unnecessary noise is the cruelest absence of care. Florence Nightingale said more than 100 years ago. Ever since medicine has progressed so much, tech has progressed so much, but not the quality of our sound environment. Here is a quick example. When you hear a cardiac monitor, it's a note of C. A high-pitched Bedford alarm is a F sharp. They beep together, and together it's a diminished fifths. In music theory, we call this a tritone. And this particular combination of notes in medieval time was called devil in music because people thought it was so unsettling. It was actually banned by churches to play this combination of tones. And this could be what we are hearing in hospitals today. Why does it have to be this way? Right? Thank you. Thank you. Now, in the context of today's conversations, if we think about the fact that 80% of Americans wish to die at home, yet in reality, 60% end up dying in acute care hospitals. Noise affects everyone. Studies show that for patients, it hinders recovery, hinders sleep, and increases perception of pain, anxiety, and fear. For clinicians, alarm fatigue is a safety hazard which contributes to stress and burnout and sense of learned helplessness. Illness has a way of affecting life. After I got well, I felt that this part of my life is like a lucky bonus with which I kind of get to do anything. So I started a social enterprise, Sen Sound, with a vision to transform the sound environment in hospitals using human-centered design. We have partnered with Johns Hopkins Sibley Innovation Hub to study how sound impacts people's emotions, experience, and environment. How many of you here have ever been to a hospital? What do you remember hearing? What was the most disturbing sound that you remember? Screaming, yes. Was it alarms, beeps, code blue, chatter, people talking, pagers, carts rolling? What about the rhythm of cardiac monitor? It keeps going poop, poop, poop. It's like a ticking time bomb, reminding me every second that my time here is finite. What about silence? Silence that sound of devastating silence after an unexpected news has been delivered. Inside the disinfected walls, with the echoes of machine beeping, beeping, and beeping, hospitals are filled with deeply human moments. Indeed, much of the noise that people reported was caused by human behaviors, like alarms not being attended on time, people talking loud, doors getting slammed. Typical response to this type of noise is to put a bunch of posters that say, shh, which is never effective, and it's like disrespectful. So we spent more time with people, especially with nurses in the unit, and we realized that noise causes stress, but stress also causes noisy behaviors. It's a common sense. When we are stressed, I have to talk, I'm loud, I get sloppy, I kick things I don't care, I get noisy. How might we help alleviate the stress of people in the unit to facilitate a healing environment? So we converted an empty space within the hospital into an immersive relaxation experience called a tranquility room. And we told the clinicians in the hospital that you take care of other people all day. Let this space take care of you, even just for a moment when you need it. They liked it very much. And some of them came to me and said, this tranquility that I sense, it's affecting my way of providing care to my patients. Some of them came to us with ideas, hey, can we take something like this experience to my patients, family members, at our cancer center or special care nursery? We learned that to promote a culture of quietness, we have to care for people who care for others. Now, going back to the topic of alarms, the average number of alarms that we hear per patient per day, any guess? 350. Among which the percentage of alarms that are false positive or clinically insignificant, 85 to 99%. We are studying the ecological environment of alarms and their pitches and how they interact with each other and people's behaviors, collaborating with different hospitals, patients, clinicians, researchers of psychoacoustics and neuroscience all across the world to reimagine the hospital soundscape. We are starting to collaborate with a couple of device companies to actually redesign some of the beeps. Things are happening. Ideas are fun, but execution and implementation is a marathon. It's not easy, as many of you might know, and I'm getting burnt out sometimes. When I face those challenges, I turned to human-centered design, which taught me to learn from extreme scenarios. In healthcare, one of the extreme scenarios is the end of life. So I return to my first question, which is, what is the last sound you wish to hear at the end of your life? We collaborated with communities of Open IDEO and Stanford Medicine X to record the stories of hundreds of people sharing the last sound they like to hear. One of them was Morgan, a palliative care nurse in New York, who said, oftentimes I am a part of a difficult and intimate process of liberating someone from a ventilator with the expectation that this person's life thereafter will be very short. Since I came across with this question, our team started to play a piece of meaningful music moments before the person's death. And this has impacted everyone in her unit tremendously. The beauty of our sensory experience is what makes us human. I think of my friend that I met at Medicine X, John. He initially told me that he's actually scared of this whole last sound concept because he's been close to death. He's a survivor of a difficult condition who got both of his lungs transplanted on January 1st, several years ago. He said, every New Year's Eve, when the donor's family is watching the fireworks in the sky, the family is going to be grieving. And I think about this every day. At the worst of their time, they gave me the best gift of my life, and I work hard to honor what's being given to me. John said he likes to hear the sound of water at the end of his life because it's genetically calming, and we all slept by water. May I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and together reflect, not as this heavy, depressing question, but rather as a playful invitation that if this could be anything that you like, what is the last sound you wish to hear at the end of your life?
The last sound I want to hear at the end of life is the first sound I heard at the beginning of life.
The last sound I wish to hear in my life would be a gentle breeze through the trees.
Or being on a mountainside and hearing the wind go past.
The ocean waves hitting the beach.
The crash of waves.
The water.
Why do you think water?
It's life. It's movement.
It's transformative.
Genetically calming. I think we've slept by water.
It's like their happy place.
You know, every illness is a love story. The love is surrounding illness because it takes something away from someone who's hurting.
The last sound I would wish to hear is the voice of a loved one around me. To know that they were there for me in those last moments.
Is the voice of my loved ones.
Loved ones having connected human moment, you know, even if it's not with me.
The sound of my friends and family talking about all the good experiences we had in life.
My father's voice.
The last voice I want to hear is my mother's voice.
It's my children. It's just so easy to say that.
My mother's voice.
Lullaby and a bedtime song.
Going off to sleep and just relaxed and like safe.
As I fall asleep, yeah.
The last sound I'd like to hear at the end of my life is some sort of validation that my life was meaningful.
You were important. What you did mattered to lots of people. You left a statistically significant mark on the human condition.
The last sound I wish to hear at the end of life is toilet flushing.
The last sound I wish to hear is my husband's fart.
The last sound that I wish to hear before I die is laughter.
I would love to hear laughter, because I think that joy is what I want to carry with me out into what comes next.
When you hear applause, so people are clapping because you've done something, there's this sense of, oh, I succeeded, I did well. The curtains are going to close, it's ending. Such a great way to go.
Like getting birth into life and then leaving the life is very or hard tasks. It takes some energy to be birth and then to shut down and get, die. And to leave this space of being inside of a belly and somebody carry you and get back to that space. There's something about that.
I kind of want to hear a big engine starting. It's almost like a crescendo in music for me to hear that, this awakening of a machine that is so powerful.
Really loud and pushing my body to kind of feel it. I want something that allows my body to feel that beat and let that beat be sort of my departure.
It's a baby laughing because the universe has a sense of humor.
The last sound that I would like to hear is something that I've never heard of before, that I've never imagined before.
Thank you.